Welcome back into the quickest, the fastest 30 minutes in all the sports. It's the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show Network. UCSS, shout out to them and all the shows going on. Ultimate Browns. We talked about Mike Hall Jr. Up front. It looks like there was a consensus. Andrew Berry wanted to get solidified up front. He goes defensive tackle. Now, don't get it twisted. I would have liked to see a wide receiver. I'm just me. I'm a wide receiver, but I see what he was doing. I ain't got no problem with it, especially when you can bring in guys like Zak Zinter, guy from Michigan, national champion, and Jim Harbaugh and the Fighting Wolverines. I know OSU people don't get mad. We at least got a Buckeye. We got a Wolverine, but I don't got no problem we can play like this. Check out Zak Zinter, in his own words, in his first day in Cleveland, Ohio, getting drafted by the Browns.
I'm in Ohio, but I'm not too far from Ann Arbor, so you know.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Hello, I'm home, here we go. What's going on, man?
Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Yeah.
It's a good location right here. It's a great location.
Great location. You're on an end.
Yeah. There's a lot of field out here.
Mike Hall here.
What's going on, guys? Zak Zinter.
Here in Berea right now. Excited to be a Cleveland Brown right now.
Yeah, man. Just excited to meet all you guys in Cleveland. Happy to be here.
As you can see, Zak Zinter, happy to be in Cleveland. We're happy to have you, big fella. And I'll tell you what, listen, the Cleveland Browns continue to put an emphasis on the guard position. You to look at Wyatt Teller, you look at Joe Bitonio, those are your leaders up front. He's going to have an opportunity to learn from two of the best in the business. And speaking of business, you know, it just only makes sense, man. If you got two good ones in the pipeline, you want to keep another one in the pipeline ready to go. And I think when you look at the cap issues with the Cleveland Browns, and I didn't say cap issues, they do a good job of spreading the money around. Money ain't a thing. They always go get what they gonna get. But you got to reload the cupboards a little bit, right? You got to be able to do that. And when you got guards that are making that much money for the Cleveland Browns, two prolific and high-priced guards, you're going to have to do something in order to get a little younger at that position, get a little cheaper at that position to continue the legacy rolling. But when you talk about Zak Zinter, listen, he's a guy that he's not going to play no games with you. When you take a look at what he brings to the table as we break this thing down for you. 6'6", 309 pounds, senior, 4-year player right now. He a 4-star recruit out of Massachusetts. He was one of the most decorated linemen in the class of 2020. You take a look at this man's accolades. When you talking about money ain't a thing, when you talk about them accolades, I like guys who play well. I want to see you dominate at the highest level in the Big Ten. I want to see you dominate the highest level in the SEC. And when you talk about Zak Zinter, he comes from pedigree. He comes from a situation where he is a national championship, was named consensus first team all Big Ten player in both 2022 and 2023. So he's not a one-year wonder. He's been about this life, as well as a first-team All-American consensus in 2023, also semifinalist for the Outland Trophy. Let's get into what he does best, right? Let's get into some of the things that I think he really represents himself well, and this is why he is where he is right now as a Cleveland Brown. Now, I will say this, without the broken leg, he suffered that tibia fibia fracture against Ohio State in November. Without that happening, I think he's a first-round pick. But let's talk about what he does up front. And I love offensive line and defensive line talk. You know what we get into. Very good with his hands, pass protection, and run blocking. When you go over this guy, there's a lot of things that he does exceptionally well. There are very few flaws in his game. He is solid across the board when it comes to hand placement, punch, really good feet, does a good job of doing a lot of different things, right? Run blocking and pass blocking. Best thing I like about him, high IQ player, he picks up stunts and blitzes quickly. You're not going to trick this guy on the good old text and twist stunts. Oh, one guy's coming upfield and the other guy's coming underneath. Oh, you didn't know? No. You're not going to get him on that. You're not going to get on that. He's able to pick that up. When the movement happens, he's passing things off. And that's one of the things that you always want to see as an offensive lineman, IQ. Do you know how to establish who you guarding? Do you know where they're going and you know where they're coming from? And can you pass things off? He does a good job at that. Really good hand grip strength. When he puts his hands on you, it's a problem. As a D lineman, he'll tell you never let an offensive lineman put their hands on you. Because when they get their hands on you, they don't like to give it up. And if they get it inside the framework of your body, they ain't gonna call that. That's not a hold. Good balance and body control, and he's able to seal defenders in the run game. Now, always I give you pros and cons. A little couple weaknesses. The tibia and fibia, is he all the way recovered? I said this on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I believe that when you're talking about the fractures and breaks, not to say they're not really a big deal, they're a little more. You're able to come back a little quicker from those than you are the ligaments, the ACLs, the Achilles heels, right? The only knock on Zak Zinter is this. He has average athletic ability. He's not a super duper great athlete. He's not a horrible athlete. He's just an average athlete for his position. So that can hurt him a little bit, and a lot of people that hurts his upside a little bit. But it's not like it's something glaring. He's no slouch by any means, stretch of the means, right? And with being just an average athlete, he struggles with quicker defenders moving across his face. So, and necessarily when he's in his pass set, if somebody gives a hard 2 steps upfield, he comes underneath. You may have an issue with that if that person is able to set that move up because he's not the greatest athlete. But here's the thing. The great thing about that is if he gets his hands on you, and especially playing inside the tackle box, guard to center, if he gets his hands on you, good luck. So he's good. He's a guy that kind of mitigates some of the foot speed stuff with the fact that he has good punch, good long arms, strong hands, right? Scouting places say he's a starting caliber offensive lineman in the NFL. Relatively athletic ability limits his ceiling at the next level. He has good play with his strength, very good base fundamentals, give him a role in the NFL as a starting caliber player. And when you look at this and you look at that skill set, that's what you want. You want to replenish some of that. You want to have him sit under Wyatt Teller and Joe Bitonio. And one thing that the Cleveland Browns learned last year was never start counting how many offensive linemen you got. That's why you got Jet Wills back and you signed him for your 5th year. If you're trying to win a Super Bowl, if you're trying to do what Browns teams have not been able to do, you can't afford to do what they did last year, and that's be down to the bottom of your basement when it comes to offensive line play. 2 tackles I thought were coming off the street worthy guys, and Wyatt Teller and Joe Bitonio are banged up all year. Ethan Poaches was out a little bit of time. Now, if you do lose one of those guys, Joe Bitonio or Wyatt Teller, you got a guy that's above replacement. He's better than a guy you're going to get off a practice squad. He's going to be better than a guy you bring off a street. So instead of guys going down and you're devastated, now you have some depth. You have a guy like DeJuan Jones, who I think, according to Joe Thomas, said he's going to start at that position. I agree with him. Jack Conklin is a guy who you've extended and gave a contract to. I didn't like the contract extension, a little bit rich for my blood for a guy with injuries, but is he better than guys coming off the street? Of course he is, right? You give Jet Wills that type of opportunity to earn a 5th year and see if he get a long contract. That's why you extend, you pick up his 5th year. And now you have Teller, you have, a guy like, Zak Zinter that can be behind Teller and Bitonio. You got Luke Whippler, who is the guy who have in your roster who is behind Poaches. So if any one of those guys go down, you got some depth in there, and he fits the mold of what you want to do as a Cleveland Brown. With that being said, let's get to another break. When we come back, it's a couple of dudes that got drafted in day 2, day 3 area that I think could be diamonds in the rough for the Browns. We'll come back and tell you who they are. It's G. Bush here on the Ultimate Browns.